This is another episode of EMA Cloud Rants. This week we are coming from Las Vegas, from the Amazon reInvent conference. In the Venetian here, you can see the nice view in the background. And we want to talk about what is hot, what is important, as always, what does it mean for the customer. And we just met with the guys from Stratoscale, with Ariel, their CEO, and we discussed a little bit about the meaning of private cloud. Jens, private cloud, kind of a failure, but...
Yeah, I wouldn't say a failure, but it's very hard to build a stable private cloud that is elastic, that can grow, that can shrink, and so on. Normally it costs many consulting days, and Stratoscale has a couple of nice ideas in order to make it simpler, easier, more cost-effective.
And as good for the developer as Amazon, right?
That's the main USP, basically. They are saying, hey, we're giving you the Amazon EC2 compatible API. And then you can leverage this, and this with huge cost savings compared to other vendors.
And it's really a dream because, that we used to have years ago. The storage admin, the network admin, the server admin, they just make sure everything is deployed, and then you as the cloud admin, you set the policies, you define which developer group can do what and when, and at the end of the day, there's also a little piece of magic, right? A little secret sauce in the Stratoscale, and we don't want to, spill any beans, but Jens, if you can briefly talk a little bit about this workload awareness piece.
Yeah, well, basically, first of all, technically they are based on KVM, but they are not giving you direct access to KVM. And they say, hey, we can over-provision resources much higher as compared to the traditional virtualization guys. So, which are very enterprisey, looking at enterprise applications, not so much the DevOps storyline, and they are very conservative. The other guys, you name them, VMware, Microsoft, and so on. And Stratoscale goes their different way.
Yeah, and the magic in the back really is they do not trust you as the admin. They do not try to pre-plan a workload deployment, right? They see a pattern in terms of IOPS for your storage, and in terms of network traffic, in terms of server, RAM, and CPU usage. And that pattern is based on realistic app use, right? And if they see, wow, this is getting a little bit hot on this server, and this all runs on commodity hardware, it's getting a little bit hot on that server, so let's move it somewhere else where, maybe there's another workload that doesn't need as much. And balance everything out, and in the background really see how everything is used, and do the admin's work of worrying in the vSphere control panel, and we realize of worrying what's going on. Take that away and automate it. Right?
Yeah, and the philosophy is much more DevOps surveyor. So it's, I think, not a tool with which you would replace, on a one-to-one basis, your actual VMware environment. I think it still has its place, kind of. But they're saying we are more optimal for the DevOps, so to run Amazon kind of style, Amazon applications on-premise instead of pushing them to the cloud.
Right. It's a gradual process, really. You don't go in there and say, cancel your VMware enterprise agreement, but you say, look, your developers, they cannot deploy everything on Amazon, right? It is kind of an either-or, right? Is Amazon public? And here is us, the Stratoscale guy, building our Amazon equivalent, but we're building it in the private cloud.
Well, they could actually, but then do you want this if everybody moves everything to Amazon? From a cost point of view and so on, and with Stratoscale you can reuse equipment, and they are very open and support basically kind of every server, every storage that is out there.
Right, it would have to be policy driven, and that leads me to another company, RightScale, right? They've been there since the beginning of not even the cloud, right? Even hypervisors, and I was always fascinated of what they do, right? They give you that ultimate degree of transparency. Is it cheaper to run something here? Is it safer? Is it performing better? Is it compliant with regulations? That's basically what they do. That is policy, governance, compliance wrapper around your workloads, and for some reason they're not a multi-billion-dollar company, right? So this whole multi-cloud management, this whole hybrid cloud thing, it kind of, for many reasons, hit boundaries, right? Because companies in VMware may not have wanted it that way, or Microsoft, or customers in a big degree, Jens, right? I mean, but RightScale kind of, I don't want to say rebooted, but they really are focusing laser sharp on governance now. They have this really cool matrix that you can use to match your workloads with your clouds, right?
Yeah, we were pretty impressed. So you can like specify the types of applications you want to have, and like many dimensions, and then they compare the different cloud vendors, the usual ones: AWS, Azure, VMware, IBM SoftLayer, and so on. And then, oops, you've chosen something, and that kicks out this like compliance policy kicks out, some of the vendors.
And what you become aware of as an enterprise customer is how many dimensions there are, and how many parameters or properties or whatever you want to call those things on every dimension there are, right? So there's a lot of things to think about on each of those clouds, and it's almost impossible to wrap your head around, and that's really why you need this policy-driven element.
Yeah, and the matrix that they were using, it looked pretty comprehensive, I would say, and we are picky guys. So it looked pretty comprehensive to us.
Right, and they have that matrix built into their actual tool, right? So if you have a production workload, then that tool will tell you what it costs if you move it from place A to place B, and it will signal a warning light if place B is not HIPAA compliant, for example. So it's what they have. I mean, we really like it. They're not here at reInvent, but we thought we need to mention this because it's good. Next topic, and we're kind of moving one level up in the stack. That's Bitnami. Fascinating for me personally, Jens, because yesterday I used Bitnami in 5 minutes I deployed a WordPress virtual machine on Amazon.
And you were pretty impressed, so you talked about it the whole afternoon, basically.
And my tech knowledge is pretty poor, as you know, so...
Yeah, it was like... it's very simple to use, and then you just pick the application, you say, oh, I want to have it started up, and then it seems to just work. Huh?
It's the whole stack, right? You can do Drupal, you can do, all of those different open source stacks, and you could say, I want this on a container, I want this on Amazon, I want this on all kinds of different deployment targets, and it just goes out, it shows you the cost estimate, and a few minutes later you can use it. You get the URL, you get the admin password, and then it also keeps track of it, right? It monitors it, and when there's an upgrade available, it just lets you push button upgrade. Pretty, sounds solid. Looked solid to me. Yeah, it's definitely innovative. And speaking of innovative, the last vendor, it's replication, disaster recovery, backup. I mean, if you're talking about Zerto, you usually wouldn't stand on your chair and cheer for that kind of a proposition, but Zerto really, Jens, and you have a lot of experience with backup and disaster recovery in real environments. Zerto solves a problem that it makes a difficult problem look very easy, right?
Yeah, I think they did great engineering here, from the simplicity that they're offering in the interface. The wizard-driven simplicity is pretty amazing, and what we are getting from customers is they're going through the roof. Kind of Zerto is really it's becoming a hot topic.
They're the big stars, and it's great, because why did VMware not fill this gap? I mean, what's VMware do there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
They have a tool, right? They have a tool as well.
vSphere replication, you mean?
Okay. All right, this was this week's, or the beginning of this week's episode of EMA Cloud Rants. There will be more episodes, and there will be EMA Innovators of AWS or Amazon reInvent. So we are excited, Jens and I are excited to present those later this week.